Here we go. I'm gonna do a little introduction of D.
Oh my God.
It is not your traditional introduction.
Oh man.
I wrote something.
It's not your traditional woman.
Hey! D is not your traditional woman. That is
you
right.
guys.
Okay, so before she leads this conversation, D, better known as Kahnma, is the epitome of power and presence with roots that span the globe. I see her as a grounded force and source of light and true love. She's full of depth, wisdom, care, and her heart is as true as they come. I have been honored to be able to build a friendship that's hard to describe in words, although I'm trying. Over the last 5 years of knowing each other, we have witnessed one another's paths, the ups and downs, and with each new phase of becoming, we always find each other on the other side. I've seen her grow, shed, redefine, discover, and rediscover herself while maintaining the truest essence of her being, a value for community. What I admire so much about Dee is her ability to build and maintain honest relationships and build community. To create family when blood family is far away. To be a beacon of indigenous values of showing up for one another and doing so with the highest integrity, even if that meant losing folks along the way. So we are here now, two mothers, single mamas,
Single mama.
with a shared vision and knowing of not only what this moment means, but what's to come. She's one of the most creative people I know. Your blood is rich, and I love seeing you grow. Dee, I asked you to co-host this first Wild Mama Voices with me because I trust you. I trust your voice. You have shown yourself to be a real one. You are so thoughtful and understand the value of Mama's gathering. I'm honored you agreed to be here with me today, and I want to say thank you for seeing and loving me with so much purity. So thank you, and I love you.
Oh my God. I'm supposed to make you cry today.
Oh, I love you too.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you for those beautiful words. Y'all think I'm all that? I'm all right. So Tiff invited me to come and just have a we have such deep conversations, Tiff and I, when we sit down and talk about mamahood, about just life. And I'd be like, somebody need to turn the camera on so we can share some of these wisdoms that we come up with when we're having a conversation. So when we were planning this, when she was planning this, Tiff is so funny, I have to share this, right? We were planning this, and she wanted, she was like, I'm gonna interview mamas every month, like a mama every month, and she's like wrecking her brain, like, who should I interview for this month? What mama? Mm-hmm. And then Rasani goes, you should be the mama that gets interviewed. And she was like, I had to just like pour back into her and let her know what valuable of a space that she's holding for one, but what an amazing woman, what an amazing mother you are, and you need to be in front of a microphone talking so people can hear you. So I wrote down some questions, or jotted down some questions, and I'm just gonna like throw at Tiff, just so you all can get to know her a little better. I mean, I know her for a little while now, but you're all being introduced to her, some of you for the first time, and hopefully this can scratch the surface of a little bit of like this amazing person that we have in our presence, yeah?
Aww.
Thank you for this space.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so my first question to you, right? So I'm looking around, and I know just like covering mother duties alone is a full-time job, right? You all know that, right? So looking around, looking for how much work that goes into putting something like this together. My first question for you is, walk us through how you balance motherhood and ambition.
Ooh. Yeah. Motherhood and ambition. As you can see, my pen and my paper, this is my comfort zone, right here, so it helps me process. So for me, I became a mother at 22. I had an arranged marriage at 20 years old. I became a mother while in a cult. Story for another day.
Yeah.
But that situation, that circumstance, I had to, it's like either I sacrifice my entire life to be a mother, or I find a way to be more than just a mother. Because when you're 22, your whole life is ahead of you. And so for me, I really had to figure out, well, I can't not be a mother now, I'm a mama. But I cannot not like deny my fire, like the fire in my belly. And so for me, it's been a constant journey that I've had to figure out is how can I be a both and another and how can I be my big self, because I've always been someone who has a lot of visions and dreams and fire. And so I guess my spirit never really allowed me to sort of take a back seat to being just a mother. I had to always sort of figure it out. And so I've gotten to a point through a lot of personal healing and reflection and just knowing myself that I'm able to find this balance, because that's what makes me whole. And so I'm very protective of my sacred alone time. I take a lot of time for myself, and you can ask my kids. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, 2:30 to 3. I'm not saying y'all gotta do that, but this is what works for me, because my spirit matters, I matter, and I'm not saying I started out feeling like I mattered. I've worked my way to getting to a point of where I feel like I matter, but I am able to find that balance because I make the time. I don't wait for the time to show up, I make the time for me. And so I spend a lot of time with myself, and I think for me, my ambition is this. And so when I see these kinds of things coming to fruition, it fuels me. And I just know that I have much greater impact to make in this life. And so I feel like for me, the balance is just, I have to do it, because that's what is most aligned
Like
to the energy of my soul. Yeah. Like if I don't do it, I'm the one that's gonna suffer. If I don't find out how to figure this shit out, I'm the one that's gonna suffer the most. And I'm just not willing to do that. And the last thing I'll say about it, I guess, is a big motivation for me is my mom died at 53. And so I've always had that in my head, and her mom died at 39. I'm 38. I'm like, okay, for a long time, that fear of death kind of hovered over me. Like, I'm like, shit, what if I am gonna die at 53? What if I'm gonna die? So I've had this idea in my head that like, I gotta make the most of this life that I have, but I am not a proponent of YOLO, you only live once, because I don't believe that we can actually build generational wealth and health and happiness when we're in a rush. You can't build a legacy in a rush. So I've had to find the balance. And so one day actually camping with you and you,
I remember that,
Shore,
yeah.
there was a full moon that came, and it woke me up. The light came through the tent, and it woke me up. And like I sat up, I kind of closed my eyes, and then my ancestors came and they were like, Tiff. I was like, yeah. They were like, what would you do if you knew you had 75 more years to live? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, what would you do if you knew you had 75 more years to live? And so that kind of shifted my thinking from, the fear of death and fear of like, oh my God, I don't have a lot of time, to, oh, if I have 75 more years to live, what could I actually do in the world? What could I actually build? What kind of legacy could I actually create? Damn, if I'm not worried about, or ruled by fear, fear of death and fear of, things I can't control, which disempower me. Like we talked about earlier, right? So that kind of shifted my mindset, and so that's more motivating to me than, like, live today like it's your last. That does not motivate me. That puts me in survival mode. And if you're a black or brown woman, being in survival mode does not allow you to be in your fullest potential, right? So for me, I had to shift, and I felt like my ancestors gave me that gift of seeing further, right? And thinking 75 years from now, because I felt like, at the time I was like maybe 34 or 35, and I was like, okay, I've done a good amount, in the last 35 years, and a lot of that was healing from trauma. So what if I'm like 75 years of like woke Tiff, or like, like 75 years of like more healed Tiff? What could I possibly do? And that was incredibly motivating. So I feel like the balance, I'm not motivated by the balance. I'm motivated by my vision. I'm motivated by my purpose. I'm motivated by my greater impact that I want to make in the world. I'm motivated to serve mamas. And so that motivation makes me figure out, how do I balance? Right. The balance alone, that's not that fun.
Right.
The logistical balance, it's not exciting, But my vision and being able to be connected to myself, because I actually like myself, which I didn't before. And so that motivates me to find that balance. So yeah, I think for me, it's more than just, the juggling act. I'm not really interested in the juggling act. I'm interested in being whole, living aligned to the energy of my soul, and being able to be fully in my purpose. So, long answer.
It's a great answer. But I was gonna just to touch on that a little bit more, because I know for me that comes in spurts, right? Like motivation, and just like, I do things, but it's just like I have moments. Like I'll have 3 months where I'm just like, then I have a month of just like super energized. But I think what I was hearing you say is, if what your ambition is, if there's real purpose there, then the balance comes. Is that what you?
Well, yeah. So I think that we have a false idea of what balance looks like, because it's often informed by the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
This Western linear way of operating is very like, go, 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 go.
Keep going.
And burn out.
Yeah.
And then somehow you're supposed to keep going.
Right.
That is not aligned to the sacred medicine wheel. That is not aligned to Grandmother Earth. That is not aligned to the rhythms and cycles of nature. So I think we confuse balance with, keep going, keep going, keep going. That somehow I don't have those downward spirals. I don't have that. But the sacred medicine wheel tells us that it's natural to have those ebbs and those flows. Right. So for a long time, I feel like I was sort of trying to go, 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 and meet these, sort of patriarchal standards of success. And so I often felt like I was failing, and I beat myself up, I judged myself for that. And so when I was down, I didn't see that as, that's my natural rhythms. I saw that as like, I suck, I don't know how to be consistent, like I can't get shit done, like, I'm never gonna win, I'm a loser, like all the things. But when I started to align to the sacred medicine wheel and just like the rhythms and cycles of Grandmother Earth, she told me, no, we ebb and we flow. Mm-hmm. We are rhythmic beings. Right. And so for me, that is balance. Right. And honoring our balance is honoring our natural rhythms. So that's a very important component to me.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, I always say, like, there's no community that you're building that's going to thrive if you're not centering mothers, right? And I really believe that. So I want to ask you, how important is that statement, and can you expand on it?
Yeah. Well, we are here as mothers because I believe that so strongly. I really believe that mothers are the roots of the earth. And if you think about trees, right, and roots, they support and nourish each other under the ground, right? But they're their own tree. But all of those trees being their own tree create an ecosystem, right? And so that ecosystem is able to grow and be fueled and, expand and feed and nourish because they have each other, they have strong roots. So yeah, I don't think that like our world can thrive without mothers being centered, and that's why I created Wild Mama, because I'm like, yo, we birthed the earth. Like we literally, well, not the earth, but the, the humans on the earth. The people.
Right.
We birthed the people. And so like, how is it that we literally birth nations and then we're put like to be at the bottom of the fucking totem pole?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for us to have all of this creation energy and then to be put on the bottom, especially if you're a black and brown mama.
Right.
You're put way at the bottom.
Right.
So for me, I feel like the everything that's happening in the world right now is a direct reflection of mothers not being well.
Yeah.
Grandmother Earth is not well because we are not well, right? She's a mirror to us and we're a mirror to her. So if we can, restore our relationship back to Grandmother Earth by restoring ourselves, by being in community, I do feel like things are going to shift. And the vision that I have in my head is that our roots are literally going to spread across the earth. All the mamas of the world, like, are going to start to heal, become whole, live aligned to the energy of their souls. And it's going to be this ecosystem of trees building and growing and fueling, and they're not going to know what happened. Right?
Right.
So for me, I think it's very important to center mothers. I think it's very important to have these kinds of spaces because we need it. And it's, I just don't think that our world can be in balance or fully whole without centering us. And that's why this space exists. That's why Wild Mama exists. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And just I know a lot of people said, the question or the takeaway from this space is to create community, right? And we see all these postpartum mamas in here, and God knows we need community when we're going through that. Like, legit. So that's why I asked that question, because, if we were censoring the mamas like we really need to, Tia would have the help that she needs, Anna would have the help that she needs, Shamika would have the help that she needs, but everybody's, we're so focused, everybody in our individual. Let me tell y'all a quick story. So I just came back from Liberia about 2 months ago, right? After 30 years of leaving that country, and went back. And the one thing that I noticed, like I had a niece that was with me, and she has 2 children, right? And she was just hanging out with me the entire time. Everywhere I go, she's there. And I stopped for a second. I was like, "Where are your kids?" Right? And she looked at me. It was like the weirdest question to her. Like, I was like, "Where are your children?" And she was like, "They're at home. They're in the village. Like, there's a village." She can leave her children, and it's weird for me to ask her where her children are because it's just like, what do you mean where my children are? They're in the village. I can leave. We don't have that here. We don't have that here. So I'm so excited when you're taking this space to say, I'm going to take this, I'm going to go ahead of this road and we're going to do this thing, is because I would like to see that. Like I'm one person. I have a connection to a lot of the mamas in here, and I know a lot of their stories. And it's just like you can only do but so much, But when you have a community, then it's not a burden on anybody to take care of a child in the community, and giving the mothers the space, to be, come in your humanness. Not just like you're not just a mother,
Yes.
As being mothering is a part of what you do. But you're a whole being. But when you have to just do that thing because you're responsible for lives and it consumes you, then you do tend to forget who you are. Like we're hearing everybody talking about forgetting who they are. So yeah, I really wanted to touch on that.
The world misses out.
And the importance of that. So I have another question for you. Okay, this is a good one. So I follow you on Instagram. And I swear, every time I come across a video of you dancing, joy just fills my heart. It's like your soul is activated.
It is.
So I have 2 questions for you on that. What is going through your mind when you're dancing? And the second question is, have you been able to transmute that energy into other aspects of your world?
Okay. Well, my first answer is nothing is going on in my mind when I'm dancing.
Good. That's the right answer.
I am free, and I am happy, and I am in my joy, and I am being nourished. For me, dancing is form of meditation, like dancing is a way that I release. But also I feel like in some ways dancing is the epitome of my expression of me. And so I think that when you talk about transmuting it into other areas of my life, I was thinking about how like I feel like dancing for me is the gauge. You know, am I aligned right now in my life or not? If I'm dancing a lot, if I'm moving my body, it's usually a sign that I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
I'm aligned.
Yeah.
When I'm not dancing, it's a huge indication that something's out of whack,
Yeah.
right? And something needs to come back into balance. So for me, I feel like I use it as a way to kind of know where I'm at.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like dancing helps me know what my power feels like, right? Because like you could talk about, oh, girl, be in your power, honey, be in your power. And people will say
It's
all
not
those
tangible,
things.
yeah.
But I'm like, what does that mean? Like, come on. So for me, I get, kind of frustrated when people talk very high and they don't get real. Like, how do we actually practice and implement these things?
Yeah.
And so for me, dancing brings power into real, tangible, I can feel this.
Yeah.
I know what this is. And so then when I'm out in other aspects of my life, like here or in a professional space or environment, whatever, I know what it feels like when I'm not in my power. Because I'm like, it's like a litmus test, almost. Like it's my own litmus test of like, I know what it feels like to be me. I know what it feels like to be in my power. I know what it feels like to feel utter joy and alignment. And I think for me, I didn't actually recognize that sometimes, or I didn't recognize that I wasn't realizing that I can apply that to other areas of my life. And so that's kind of a new realization, is like, oh, that is the gauge. And if I know what it feels like here in this area of my life, you just apply it to that area of your life. Your relationship with your children, your relationship with your work or your purpose. And so for me, it's just a really beautiful kind of gauge that brings me back, and it also really grounds me. So does that answer your question?
That did answer my question. There's a lot of dancers in the house too.
Hey.
I see y'all. I actually want to talk to y'all because dancing is such a therapy. We should have a mama dance class. I mean, Mary can lead it. Hey, put Mary on the spot. Okay, so here's another question for you. So you were very intentional about making this space intergenerational. Why is that such a significance for you?
I'm actually going to call the keiki back into the circle. Y'all have wandered off. So come back into the circle, into the outer circle to support our mamas as I answer this question about the importance of intergenerational spaces. Lolo, can you find your seat, please? Thank you. All right. The significance is multifaceted. I feel like for me, we've got very disconnected from our roots as just basic human beings. I really align to the philosophy of Ubuntu, which means like I am because we are, right? I learned to be a human through you being a human.
Right.
I learned how to be a mother through you being a mother. You learn how to be a human from watching me be a human. You learn how to be a mother by watching me. And so we become so isolated and so disconnected that I feel like we're losing the wisdom that comes just from being with each other. And I think for me, there's so much wisdom in our kupuna, and y'all got years on me and us. And I just feel like as a society, we don't show y'all enough respect, and I apologize for that. Even though it's not my fault. I'm trying to change it.
Yeah.
But still, on behalf of the
Right.
human race, and especially North America, we're just not treating our kupuna the way that they deserve to be treated. And I think as I get older, I realize just how young my mother was when she died at 53. And so I'm really drawn right now to elders because I need it. I need elders in my life. I need your wisdom. I need your love. Danielle is not here, but her mother recently came to Hawaii and did Reiki on me. It was like the first time. It was the first time that I had ever had like a elder put their hand on me. So like, I know I need it, and because I know I am, because we are, I know you need it too. And I know my children need it. Thank you. So just like we're not touching each other anymore. We're not connecting, we're not talking. And so I just feel it's so important that our children see us in community, but also that they're not disconnected on an iPad or on an iPhone or whatever, that they actually learn how to listen.
Yeah.
Because how can they learn how to respect me as a woman or a mother? How can they learn how to respect our elders if they're not in shared space where they have to learn how to listen and how to respect and how to be in and with and in conversation? So I believe it's up to us, it's up to me, it's my kuleana to ensure that that takes place. And because I don't have, grandparents myself or my mother or anyone, I have to find a way to provide that for my own children. And I know many of us, like you said, are here with no family. Like, it's difficult. And so, like, I felt like we had to create it. And I just continue in my life to get to this point where, like, everything that I desire and I'm seeking out and not finding, it's because I have to create it. I'm meant to create it. And when you talk about what I'm afraid of, that has been a big fear of mine, is leading the way and owning my vision. And I've had to learn how to move through whatever that is to be able to create a space like this. So this space is the result of a lot of years of healing and working on my own shit. And I will never offer up thoughts or insight or advice that I'm not myself practicing. And the one more thing I will say is the reason why that's so important to me is since I was in a cult, at 16 years old, and they arranged my marriage at 20 years old, I know what it feels like to be taken advantage of in your most vulnerable state. And I feel that as mothers, we are often, many times in a day, in our most vulnerable state. And so I knew that if I were to come to serve mothers like myself, that I had to be in my highest integrity. I needed to be right with me, not perfect, I'm definitely not perfect, but I need to be the most aligned that I can be, and I need to be practicing what I preach and what I share in order to make sure that I can actually hold honest space for y'all. So I could not be here until now because I could not sort of, know in myself for sure that I could do that. So I had to work through my own stuff in order to be here in this honest space. So for me, I think I said a lot of answers, but
I hear you.
okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's important because I think when we have intergenerational spaces, everybody know their place, right? I think it seems sometimes it's offensive when people are like, oh, be in your place, put the children in their place, but there is a place for children, and there is a place for elders, and when we're all around each other in that kind of way, it kind of naturally happens. And the kids get to, like you said, they get to see, like,
Hey, boo-boo.
her cute self.
She's ready to dance.
Yes, she
Can you come
is.
sit
That's
with
for
me?
sure.
Can you come sit with Auntie?
We looking at you. But yeah, so and then the children get to see, if they see us honoring Auntie Rhea, and they're just like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do when we see elders come around.
Yes.
So it's very important to hold this space, and
Yes.
we thank you again for understanding that.
Yes.
So How much time do we have? How many more
What time
questions
is
can
it?
I ask you? It's 8:02.
Okay.
Can I do
Two-
two more questions?
One or two more? Yeah.
Let's do. All right, this one is a question that I ask for myself, and I'm sure for the mamas in here. So what is a common theme you've noticed that seems to be a block for the mamas you've worked with? Why do you think this is a common block? And would you be willing to share advice with mamas here today on how to navigate this block?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of blocks.
Yeah.
The two that come to mind, they're kind of related. I'll name them first and then I'll explain. Perfectionism, and then not being able to know the difference between what's calling from your soul versus what's beckoning you. What's calling from your soul versus what's beckoning you, right? So perfectionism, very similar to what I was talking about earlier around the patriarchy, right? We think that in order to just be, we have to be perfect, right? A lot of y'all said about feeling enough. It's that desire to, like, I'm not enough unless I'm up here, unless I'm perfect.
Right.
And that's a huge block because it doesn't allow you to just move, just take a step. It keeps you from being able to just feel okay in yourself. And so for me, the advice on that is that's why imperfect action is a value of mine, because I struggled with that. Hey, boo-boo.
Come.
Hey, boo-boo.
You wanna come, Auntie? Why does she walk like she's modeling?
Come here. You want to sit with Auntie? You want to come sit with Auntie?
Simone.
This girl got swag.
She got so much swag.
So imperfect action, for me, is what allows you to just take the step. It's a constant reminder and a value that, hey, I don't actually have to be perfect to take a step. I don't have to have all of the answers to just simply move. I can move. And so that was liberating for me to know that I don't have to be perfect. I can show myself grace, and I can still move on my goals, even if I feel like I'm still growing, even if I feel like I'm still learning. So it just gave me a lot of permission to just be where I am, rather than feeling like I have to be somewhere that I'm not. And that's what I feel like motivates perfectionism. It's trying to be somewhere that you're not, trying to be someone that you're not, in order to please other people externally, which goes to the second thing of knowing the difference between what's calling from your soul versus what's beckoning you, which comes from the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. Anybody read Women Who Run with the Wolves? Yeah. So Clarissa Pinkola Estes, or Estes, talks about, that it's so important to know that difference of what's calling from your soul versus, what's beckoning. And what's beckoning is basically usually external things that are kind of the shoulds of the world, the telling, what you should do. It's like, the example she uses is like, you didn't want donuts, but then the donuts were put on the table, and now all of a sudden you want donuts. But did that really come from you?
Right.
No. Right? So a lot of times mamas don't know the difference with, I have this idea, or I have these thoughts, or I have this one. I think I need to do this. I think I should do this. And they don't know, is this from me, or is this something that other people want from me? And so I think
Discerning.
Yeah, exactly, that discernment, which Kahnma talks about a lot, discernment, the importance of discernment. And so for me, I had to learn, to figure out what the difference was. And so a lot of times when I work with mamas, mostly through my program, we work on that a lot, distinguishing those voices, even the voices just within us that we have, because there's a lot to us. But yeah, distinguishing those differences is really important. So I feel like for me, the more you spend time with yourself, the more you are in self-reflection, the more you can learn to distinguish your voice and your inner knowing from the outside noise. But that does take time. It takes sorting. And that's why, I have an entire program to move us through, because I do want to say that Wild Mama is absolutely committed to helping you actually figure out the how, right? Because a lot of people, again, are like, oh, you should believe in yourself. You should do this. You should have habits. You should. But it's like, but how?
Yeah.
How? Like, let's get real. How? And that's what I struggled with on my journeys. I often felt like people were telling me, do this, do that. It should be so easy. But they weren't giving me practical steps to take. And so my whole program, the Mama Master Plan program, is all about, well, what are the actual steps? And that is really liberating, I think, for mamas. Nicole did the program. She could speak. I just interviewed her, listened to her on the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was a great answer. Thank you. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And I guess we eat and what do we do?
Yeah, after
yeah.
this, we will open it up.
Yeah, I'll give it back to you. Give instructions
yeah.
for what happens next. Okay, so you have 3 beautiful children.
Yeah.
You have Genesis, Vision, and Lotus. And your children are amazing. I'm around them. They're amazing children, and that's a testament to your motherhood. This question is, how do you think your children see you?
How do my children see me? They probably see me as very direct. I'm very direct. I remember Vision and I were walking to school. We were still living in Chicago. He was probably in preschool or kindergarten. And we were walking to school and he was like, Mom. I was like, what? He was like, you're so powerful. I'm like, why? And he's like, because you can make people do whatever you want. And I was like, how? And he's like, by having long conversations.
Wear them down.
So I feel like my kids probably see me as someone who, like, you know, will have long conversations with them. And, you know, they can't just get away with not talking, not communicating. I think they would think I'm loving, but also hens will tell me very honestly when I'm not aligned, and will tell me, one thing I really appreciate about her that she recently mirrored back to me is that I have a hard time with the more challenging emotions when they feel sad or when they feel, because I would feel like, oh, I did something or what. And so I'm learning through them to hold the range of their emotions as I learn to hold the range of my own emotions. So I would think that they think that, you know, I am mostly supportive, but also I'm a growing imperfect human being.
Yeah, darn
So,
right.
yeah.
There you go. I think they think you are incredible. Because you are.
Is that true? Ask the children.
Okay, so again, we're going to wrap up this part of the event. Thank you again for allowing me to be up here and talking to you and sharing your story with people so we get to know. We really want to keep this up. This is a space that's intentionally held. And the more often we gather, the more connections we build, the more bonds, the more village we create. You can leave your kid and somebody will be like, where your kids at? You know? So we thank you again. One last question.
Yeah.
Are you proud of yourself?
Aw.
You know what? I'm very, very, very proud of myself.
Good.
Thank you. Because I have put in the work
Yes, you have.
to get to
Yes,
this
you have.
point. Like, woo, I've been getting very emotional thinking about even getting to this event because I'm like, damn, we did it. We got through it. You know, and I know there's still be trials ahead, but I really feel like I've been relentless in the pursuit of my vision and of myself through all the challenges that have made me heal some really effed up things. So I'm very, very, very proud of myself.
Should be.
Thank you. Thank you.